Good evening, everyone. This is a Soft Skills Masterclass for students. My name is Abiola from the Awokiyesi. I'm a soft skill instructor at Mindklass. Thank you for joining for this night's section. As an introduction to today's topic, the picture of the man before us is known as Roger Bannister. When he was very young, he challenged a belief that has been on ground for centuries. The belief has been around, and professional runners, professional athletes, and coaches try to break the barrier of running a mile in less than 4 minutes, but all could not break the record. In the year 1954, Roger Bannister broke the record and ran a mile in 3 minutes, 59 seconds, and 4 milliseconds. So this record, which was broken by Roger Bannister, was further broken by John Landy in 3 minutes, 59 seconds, then 9 milliseconds. Afterwards, over 1,000 people, including college students, broke the record after Roger Bannister broke the record. And they did it even better than himself. So the belief that has been around for centuries became a benchmark for new athletes, for young athletes, because one man broke the record. That's why we are looking at the topic. Before we look at the topic, it is said here that the 4-minute mile was supposed to be unbreakable. Roger Bannister thought otherwise, and he broke the record in 3 minutes, 59 seconds, then 4 milliseconds. That's why we are looking at the topic today, understanding the mind to change wrong beliefs. At the end of this topic, we trust that students will understand what the mind is. We understand the two ways the mind works. We know how to change. Do we understand change wrong beliefs in the world and the life of people? We know how to change wrong beliefs in their subconscious mind. And lastly, understand how to use their mind to their own advantage. What is the mind? The mind is what makes thoughts, feelings, actions, and life results possible. Someone said that there is a mind for everything in life. The mind for progress, the mind for success, the mind for prosperity, the mind for relationship success, the mind for academic success. And if you look at this definition, it says that your thought will determine your feeling will determine your action, and your action, what you do, will determine your life results. That is very possible. And wouldn't you like to understand what really makes or determines over 90% of your life results? And that's why we are looking at the topic of the mind today. What is belief? Belief is a doubtless feeling that something is true. That's why you see that everyone hold on strongly to their belief, and you don't grow beyond your level of belief. If you don't believe that you can get something, you are most likely never going to get that thing. One of the reasons why students don't do well in certain subjects is because of their belief, majorly as regarding that subject. Because when you have beliefs for something, you'll be ready to go any extent to get that thing. If you have belief that you can do this, you'll be ready to pay the price of practice, you'll be ready to pay the price of sacrifice to see that you get that thing. That's why belief is very important. Two ways the mind works. Number one, we have the conscious mind. The conscious mind has to do with the aspect of the mind that controls our voluntary actions. It controls, actions like if I ask you to jump, it is an action that you will do consciously. If I ask you to run, you will do it consciously. And if you look at the word conscious mind, it means you notice what you are doing, you notice what you are thinking about. You are aware of these actions. So conscious mind has to do with actions that are controlled voluntarily. You are doing it, you know you are doing it. That is a conscious mind. So it involves action like riding bicycle, jumping, running, when you are learning how to drive a car, when you are learning how to ride a motorcycle or bicycle. It is also called the creative mind. It is what we use to create things, especially at the initial stage when we are learning. The second aspect of how the mind works is the use of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind controls thoughts and actions without our knowledge. It starts from the control of biological functions like heartbeat, thinking, eye blinking, and learning of, and our attitude and thoughts, like the experiences that we have had for a long time. And these experiences make up our beliefs, actions, and so on. It is also called the programmed mind. And the reason why it is called the programmed mind is because it is the age-long beliefs, thoughts, and action that has been stored in the subconscious mind. It is from there that some or most of our actions comes from. For example, if a student have always learned that mathematics is hard, there's high tendency that whenever the math teacher comes into the class, the student's mind will be blocked. The student's mind will create a barrier that I'm not ready to learn anything from today's class. So it programs how a student think. It programs how students talk. For example, students who are self-willed would hardly, accept advice. We hardly accept that they are wrong in one way or the other. And that is not an attitude of a leader. Like what psychologists often say, that 86% of the thoughts, of the thinking, of the beliefs in the subconscious mind that we have learned for a long years are negative. And it said that they go undetected by the conscious mind. You are not even aware of those negative actions, negative thoughts in most cases. So it says here that they are negative, self-limiting, and self-destructive. What are the common wrong beliefs of students in their subconscious mind? A few among the common wrong beliefs of students is the I can't attitude, the I can't belief. It is the I'm not good enough. It is the I'm not confident enough kind of attitude. It is the I don't think anybody's help kind of attitude. It is the I am ugly kind of attitude, like a young student who reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. He said he is suffering from depression. And I asked him why. He said because he noticed that he doesn't have a white teeth. Imagine that. So these wrong beliefs of himself brought about depression upon his life. And because of the fact that he was suffering from depression, his academics was suffering. So these thoughts hindered him from progressing academically. So all these wrong beliefs are indirect way through which student academics are affected. So that's why we need to understand the mind. We need to understand the subconscious mind and how it works. Don't forget, it is the information bank. It is where our age-long experiences are stored in. And if right from a child, right from birth, if a child have always learned wrong belief, if the child have always received negative informations, there's high tendency that the actions, the thoughts, the beliefs, and everything about the young child will be negative. Like if a student have always learned that the country is bad, you can't progress, you can't make any significant progress in this country. Like one of the celebrities that said that what is next for youth to do now is money ritual. A celebrity said that. If that seed, which is a form of word, is sown in the life of a young child, you would discover that that young child will develop a belief in his or her subconsciousness that it is impossible to progress in life except one do some rituals, one carry out some, a diabolic rituals to support what one is doing in life. Such child will believe that everybody who is progressing in life, did some form of black sacrifice or the other. And that's why it is important to guide our mind, guide our subconscious mind. That's why it is important that every negative beliefs that have been sown in a youth, in a child's life, we find a way to take them out, we find a way to uproot them. So what are the things that was perceived as impossible years ago that was later made possible by the actions, by the achievements of men? Number one, in the year 1895, the physicist and engineer, who is known as Lord Kelvin, said heavier than air flying machines are impossible. It was just 8 years after that the Wright brothers broke the record when they took flight in the year 1903 with a heavier than air flying machine. What was previously impossible was made possible. Number two, engineers struggled in a bid to come up with a vehicle that will use two different power sources. An hybrid motor simply means a kind of motor that will be powered or could be powered from two different sources. But in the year 2001, that broken record was broken as the development of Prowse hybrid motor was developed. So what was impossible was made possible. Human beings are capable of working out impossibility to make it possible. So the next person that we are looking at is Steve Harvey. When he was very young, he was asked, what would you like to become in the future by his teacher? He said he would like to appear on TV. But he was criticized when his teacher said, who in your family has been on TV? He said, nobody. Who in your compound has been on TV? He said, nobody. Who in this class has been on TV? He said, nobody. Who in your community has been on TV? He said, nobody. And because of this, the teacher criticized him and said, why then did you say you want to be on TV? And he couldn't really say anything. But this man, we all know him today as a man who is not just on TV, but is on the internet. And you know that being on the internet means so much today than not being on TV. So what was impossible in the life of Steve Harvey later became possible. What was impossible in his family, in his compound, in his community, even in the life of his teacher, became possible in his life. And today, he mentioned in one of his programs that he often sent TV to that particular teacher that she would not miss any of his programs. The next person that we are looking at is Oprah Winfrey. When she was just 8, her enslaved grandmother hoped, when she told her that, I hope you get yourself a good white folks, that you would serve under them as a slave. But at just 8, she refused to allow that word to take root downward in her mind, in her subconscious mind. She rejected it. Now, this woman she's not just a very successful woman, but she's a woman whose life is a blessing to a lot of black and white. She's labeled as the most powerful black woman in the world today. What does Dr. Ben Carson have to say? Dr. Ben Carson is one of the most respected neurosurgeons in the world today. And he has something important to say about the mind, the human mind. And I'd like you to listen to what he has to say.
You know, the human brain, if you have an average brain, you're capable of almost anything because of the complexity of our brains. Billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. It never forgets anything you've ever seen, anything you've ever heard. And, you know, with something like that sitting up here, why would you ever utter the words, I can't?
I can't. 2 words that hold us back and keep us from following our dreams.
So just like Dr. Ben Carson said here, he said with a power, with the gift, with the potential of the brain, he said he does not understand why would anyone say, I can't. So as a young student, I want to encourage you today. What have you believed before now that it is impossible to come to pass in your life? What subject, what area of life, what goal do you have before you? What plan have you put in place? And you are convincing yourself that it is impossible for that plan to come to pass. What is the numbers of A's I want to have? And you are going around with your wrong belief, with bad beliefs that it is impossible to come to pass in your life. This is a neurosurgeon, this is a doctor who also moved from a wrong belief kind of attitude to the positive belief kind of attitude when he was performing poorly academically. But this man changed because he changed his mindset, which is part of what we are learning today. As we progress, how then can you change wrong beliefs in your subconscious mind? Number one, you need to learn to recite positive words, which the psychologists call positive affirmation to yourself. Most especially before you go to the bed in the night and very early in the morning, you recite positive words. You say it repeatedly for several months. It can be for 6 months or thereabouts, or make it part of your routine. That I am good enough. I am confident. I am bold. I can have 9 A's. I am wise. I'm beautiful. I'm handsome. I can accomplish this goal. I can accomplish this plan. You say and recite these words in your heart. Say it to your mind. This is very important. Now, the other aspect is you don't just say the word, you act upon the word. Don't forget that every recited word that you don't act upon will not take effect in your life. So when you take the first step, the initial action is that you recite the word. You say it out. You say it to yourself. Let it take roots downward in your mind. Then the second aspect is to act upon it. You ask the question, how can I be good enough? Now, the second aspect is, how can I be more confident? How can I have the numbers of A's that I desire? How can I appear more beautiful, more handsome? So all these are in a way to reprogram the negative words that have been sown in your subconscious mind. Negative words are always around us in the media, on the social media, in the TV, even among our friends. And that's why the psychologist said 86% of our self-talk, 86% of our thoughts are negative. And in most cases, we don't notice them. We don't notice their effects. And they are located in the subconscious mind, which is called the habit mind. It is called the habit mind. It is from the subconscious mind that you act from. So it is important that we understand this. As we go into today's discussion, we want to ask and discuss around what are the wrong beliefs of students, or what are the wrong beliefs that you have identified in your life, and how would you be working on them to take them out? I don't know if there's any students or anybody who would like to contribute to this. Anybody? Anybody would like to talk about possibly if you're an adult, what are the wrong beliefs you identified in students' life that you think they really need to work on? Mr. Shola, would you like to speak? Mr. Shola, Mr. Dijari, are you there? Is anybody there? Okay, thank you. I would like us to progress. So the wrong beliefs that I personally have identified is majorly the fear, the I can't attitude, most especially the I can't attitude towards mathematics, calculatory subjects. It's very, very rampant among students. So this is a common wrong belief. So is there any question that those that are available tonight would like to ask from today's class? Any question? Any question? Mr. Dijari, Mr. Shola, or Miss Shola? Any question? Is there any question? So after finding that there is no question for tonight, I will be rounding up with a story of a popular basketballer who was said to have visited a prison ward. So when he visited a prison, he was speaking to a number of inmates in the prison. And the inmates asked him, "Sir, how did you eventually come up to become a professional basketballer?" And he said, it all started when I was very young, when my father used to encourage me that, "Son, you can do it. Son, if you keep playing basketball like this, you will someday become a professional footballer, a professional basketballer rather." So he said that is how, from there, those words were sown into him. He kept on acting upon the words. So that was how he eventually became a professional basketballer. Then the inmates replied him and said, the same thing applied to me. He said, when I was very young and I misbehaved, my father would say, "Don't worry, son. If you keep behaving like this, someday you will end up in prison." And I said that was how he found himself in the prison. So finding a way to get positive words, to get positive seeds, to get positive actions sown in our mind is very, very important in life. And that's why, as a student, you should always surround yourself with positive thinkers, people whose life is positive in the way they think, the way they reason, the way they act. It goes a long way in shaping and determining our future. So thank you very much for joining for tonight's section. I don't know if Mr. Adija would like to say anything before we round up for tonight. So thank you very much. I'd like to put an end to today's class. Thank you for joining, and we'll see next week for the next section. Thank you very much, and have a splendid weekend.